they will know 100% that Bruno Guimarães definitely wants to go to Arsenal. We kind of know that anyway, because he's kind of intimated privately to Newcastle United that if, and it's a big if, Arsenal meet a price that they are comfortable with, that they feel is his valuation, he would be open to speaking to them and open to joining them. He doesn't want to be that player who is in the Isak scenario where he's not going to go on strike, he's not going to do any of that. He understands the position that Newcastle United are in. I would expect Arsenal to make some sort of formal move sooner rather than later on this, because it's gone so far down the line behind the scenes for it not to go anywhere. So it's clear the player wants to go and Arsenal want him. The problem Newcastle United have got is, well, on the positive side, he's under contract. They're under no pressure to do any business. But again, the will of the player. And if he really wants to go, then Newcastle United are going to have a decision to make.
What is going on, though, at St James's Park? Will Newcastle United ever make another signing without being gazumped? They probably will. Will they have any good players left come the start of the season? A tricky start to the transfer window for Newcastle. Anthony Gordon has gone to Barcelona. Sandro Tonali has departed for Spurs. They also missed out on Johan Manzambi to Aston Villa at the last minute, despite feeling confident of getting that deal done. And Bruno Guimarães has been linked with Arsenal over the last couple of weeks. Ben Jacobs, are Arsenal going to get Bruno Guimarães?
Well, I think Arsenal are trying. That's the point here. Newcastle, obviously, and we have to respect their position, had briefed this morning, at least through sources that I spoke to, that there's not been any formal contact yet, so they don't have a decision to make. And yet, my understanding is that's not strictly the reality. Maybe it's a technicality, but Arsenal have not just held talks. Arsenal have placed 2 bids via intermediaries. The first for about 55 million, the second for around 65 million, and a third bid, very likely straight to Newcastle United, is expected, and broad terms are already in place with Bruno Guimarães. And yet Newcastle know that when a player wants to leave Newcastle United, there's a big decision to make, and Eddie Howe will not want this saga repeating like Alexander Isak and dragging on all
You don't expect Bruno Guimarães to behave in the same way as Alexander Isak?
Not in the sense of boycotting or refusing to play. Bruno Guimarães has already told Newcastle United directly he would like to move.
Sure.
And Arsenal at the moment are the front runners. So they are going to accelerate their interest. And from Newcastle United's perspective, it's a huge decision which will not just be made in the sporting department. It will be made at ownership level. Do they want that look in the market of losing their talisman, losing their Brazilian Geordie? And I think Arsenal will respect this process in the sense that if Newcastle turn around and say not for sale at any price, 3 bids in, then Arsenal have other targets. But if Newcastle United say...
From an Arsenal point of view, though, they can't seriously think that 55 and 65 million pounds, the 2 bids, are even like...
market. Newcastle might be well within their rights to be saying if Sandro Tonali is 100 million, Bruno Guimarães is 100 million.
I would think that's how
my
they look at this, yeah.
Starting expectation, having spoken to Newcastle sources, is around 85 and 15 or 90 and 10 would be competitive. I think Arsenal's perspective is maybe 75 or 80 million would have a chance of at least having some engagement and taking some of the smoke and mirrors away from this potential deal. But Arsenal are trying. And I wouldn't read too much into the initial bids because this is the gamesmanship of transfers. Manchester United signed Bryan Mbeumo for 71 million total package. Their first bid was about 50 million quid. And there's countless other transfers like that where you begin 20, 30 million below what you're prepared to pay. You try your luck, you get the player buy-in, but in the end, let's not forget 2 things. 1, Newcastle don't want to sell, and 2, we're dealing in an inflated market where for central midfielders and wide players in particular, there's lots of other deals that have already happened or lots of other price tags out there that can inform the valuation. And that's why if Newcastle United are to change their position and sell, then Arsenal are likely to have to get somewhere above that 80 million number and maybe potentially as high as 100 million pounds.
Okay, let's bring in then.
Because it made clear that in the end, Newcastle will fall. In the end, whatever happens, eventually you will get the man. And it left us scrabbling around, and you get Visser at the end, who's been horrendous. Walter Barder hasn't fit in with the team, unfortunately. So that's the situation we're in now. Tonali's gone, Gordon's gone, Bruno's missed his chance. I don't care that he wants to go. It's such a damaging statement to Newcastle to let him leave now. And it's such a clear sign that this project is going nowhere. It's done. That is almost what it is. If this player leaves, Bruno Guimarães, one of the best midfielders in the world, in my opinion, I think he'll play for any team, but I think you can get one more season out of him. I think that holds this season together. I think that he is that important to Newcastle that with some of the young lads coming in, the fact that we're going back to one game a week, I think that would hold the season together. I think if he leaves, you've got to look at Eddie Howe's record without Bruno in the team is terrible. So I mean, if we think of the end of the season when Bruno was injured, we won 2 games without him in the side, and the form was relegation form. If you go through the entire time Bruno has been at Newcastle when he hasn't played in the team, I think we've won about 5 games in the Premier League. He's basically become such a fulcrum for this side. And look, I appreciate Arsenal want him, and I appreciate that he maybe wants to go. I don't think he would do an Isak. I think if he did an Isak, that legendary status or whatever is gone. It would actually be, the reaction would be so much worse, because Isak never gave off this opinion that he was a Geordie, but Bruno definitely has fully invested himself in the club. So if he would then go on strike to force a move away, I think the reaction would be beyond anything. Carabao Cup, huge part of that. Then last season, bang average.
Really?
Can't remember many games he played well. Bang average, especially without Bruno. Because essentially, one thing Tonali's actually really poor at is passing the football and building out from the back. And without Bruno alongside him, that really exposed how poor he was actually in that position to try and dictate things from midfield. So to get the money that we got for Tonali, I was absolutely fine with. He clearly didn't really want to be there anymore. A family wanting to move to the bright lights of London, which is okay, fair enough. So I wasn't too bothered about that. Also, I think £275,000 a week he's on. Newcastle can't compete with that either. Sure. Gordon flat to deceive. We saw Gordon right at the World Cup. I thought he had a really good World Cup. But the teams he played well against were the teams that he always played well against, like for Newcastle, the big games, the ones where everyone's watching. But there was 2 group games he played, Gordon. He was awful in. He was terrible. That's why he got replaced in the last game for Rashford. So I think we're in a position where I was fine with Gordon and Tonali going, but Bruno can't leave, Hall can't leave, and Tino Livramento can't leave. You can't have every single player leaving. We can't start again with everyone gone. Like Villa have done it really well, where Tielemans has gone, but Manzambi's come in. Of course, again, a player Newcastle have missed out on. Brutally so as well. But we're in a position where you can't have everyone leaving. Otherwise, I don't know what Eddie Howe's meant to do. I don't know what the expectations can be next season if you sell Bruno Guimarães, you sell Lewis Hall, you sell Tino Livramento, you sell Sandro Tonali.
Sounds like relegation, Jack.
Gordon.
You know what I mean?
I would genuinely be worried about relegation, because you've got to factor in how poor we were in the second half of last season. No momentum, and then you lose all of your best players. And we haven't even replaced Tonali, and we haven't replaced Trippier or Kraft yet. So we are a month away from the season starting. We've signed 3 players. I'm excited by them. I think they're all really good young European talents. I don't think any of them are going to start straight away. So then I think you're in a position where we haven't improved the starting 11. The starting 11 is worse than it was when we ended the season.
Hope for Newcastle fans, at least.
Here we go. Some good news.